Major Music.
What's good? Back with another episode of the Major Music Lounge podcast. It's your host, D. Dot, and today I have the pleasure of having on Saint Oshun. This is a duo based out of Hollywood, and their story is very inspirational. But shout out to Porsche Carmon and C-Dub, who make up the duo of Saint Oshun. And we're going to get into their story. You know, they sent me their bio. Every once in a while, what happens is on Threads or X, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the case may be, I might post looking for new guests to come on a podcast. They responded to one of those posts, got a chance to check them out, got a chance to read their bio. I'm not gonna talk too much about that because I want them to come on and, you know, tell all the listeners their journey to where they are now. But it's pretty inspirational just to listen to that story, rather read that story and see how far they came. And they're doing some really big things in Hollywood, as I mentioned. If this is your first time tuning into the Major Music Lounge podcast, I like to talk to other music creators similarly to the conversation I'm going to have with Saint Oshun today. Music producers, industry professionals, which we've had on, like music managers and even like music production app developers. If that is you, feel free to hit me up on one of my socials. It's going to be D._Major Music on TikTok, on Instagram, as well as Threads. And X, Twitter is going to be D.MME. And if you hang around for the entirety of this interview, consider subscribing to this channel. As I said, I like to upload new artists and producer, music industry related interviews weekly on Fridays, not only here on YouTube, but also all podcast streaming platforms. So if you're on the go, you can listen to the Major Music Lounge podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Now let's go ahead and get into the interview with Saint Oshun. So we're back with the Major Music Lounge and joined by my good friends Saint Oshun, Porsche Carmon, and C-Dub. What's good? Glad to have y'all on the Major Music Lounge podcast.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate being on the podcast.
No doubt, no doubt. Definitely, you know, first and foremost, thank you for reaching out because I like to put these, I guess, posts just seeing if I could meet some new guests out there, and you know, you responded, so I definitely appreciate that. Got a chance to like check out some of your music as well, and even like you sent the bio, so I read about your journey, which is, you know, hella motivating for one. You know, it motivated me, but you know, just kind of starting off, you know, for our audience out there. Tell us a little bit about your journey starting out as music creators to where you are today. Like, who were some of your influences and what got you into creating music?
What got me into creating music? It all, for me, it just started with I was a young musician playing in elementary band.
Wow, that's awesome.
And throughout the years, I was just picking up one instrument after the next, and I loved to sing as well. So I played instruments. I loved to sing. I was shy about everything about it, though. I wasn't, as far as performance was concerned. I was not that girl that was like, give me the mic. Is the mic on? Like, yeah, I was a little shy about it, but I loved doing it, and also wanted to, because I had kind of gotten immersed into classical music. I wanted to be a composer, like classical composer, like for real, like listening. Like I remember being about 12 and 13 years old, listening to classical music. I found the classical music radio station, right? I was like, ooh. And I would just close my eyes and listen. And I would be so intrigued by all the different instruments. And because I had been playing in orchestra for some years, I knew the sounds of the instruments, right? So I knew the voices. And so I would pick out the oboe and the bassoon and the flutes and the violins. And then I would, and even the bass instruments, tubas and the timpani and the percussive instruments. And I was really just curious, like, how do you make music? Right? That's why I was listening to all the rows, like, how do you make it? Like why does this sound so good? So yeah, that's kind of where it started. And I went to college. I studied engineering, and which was kind of odd. Like I thought I was hell bent on going to school for music, but I think I was a little discouraged about it. You're told that you're not going to be able to make any money off of it. So then I ended up going to engineering school because I did have a curiosity, interest in sciences as well. So it wasn't until somewhere nearing the end of college that I connected with a musician in the city I went to school in. So I'm from Ohio, but I went to school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I just saw somebody singing on stage, and I hadn't been out for I hadn't seen a lot of live music for a long time. And I was at this festival, like one of them weekly festivals they have in every city. It was called Jazz in the Park. And I was like, man, I'm supposed to be up there. Like it was like this epiphany.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the start of it. I met a guy immediately while I was having that thought that happened to be a musician that happened to know the artists that were performing on stage, and that's kind of where it started, to be honest. Yeah, and
Pretty dope.
then I started performing from there, and then a little while after that, started writing. I came back to wanting to produce and write. Yeah.
It's awesome.
How about you?
So my journey is similar to Porsche's. Actually, I started in fifth grade on saxophone.
I forgot to mention
Oh, go ahead.
but no, I will come back.
Okay. Yeah, I started out in fifth grade on saxophone, and for me, my music journey started the year before. We were given, it was Black History Month, and our librarian gave everybody they had to do some research on a famous black person. And the first person I was given was Louis Armstrong. So I did my little paper, and I did it. I mean, I was very much my father's son. My father's ex-military, and so like everything was done early and well and the way it needed to be done. So I handed it in a week early. And she said, "Oh, you did this already? I'll give you another one then." So then she gave me John Coltrane. And for me, getting those two was the first time that I really connected with someone who was famous, that was black. Because my father loved sports. I just didn't happen to like them. So like I saw all kinds of black people playing football, basketball, all the other stuff. But for me, it didn't do anything for me. It sounds weird to say, but it wasn't impressive to me only because I didn't care. So I'm sure people feel the same way about other great people, that they're just like, yeah, I don't see it because I don't care about it. But when it came to these musicians, it lit me up. And I started to connect music with myself and being able to see this could be an avenue for me. And then in fifth grade, I can remember when it came time, the older kids came in with the different instruments. And I wanted to play trombone so badly. But when I sat down with the teacher, she said, "We're going to try some different mouthpieces." So she gave me the trumpet mouthpiece. She gave me a trombone mouthpiece. She gave me a saxophone mouthpiece. When I got to the saxophone, she said, "Do that again." So I did it again. She said, "No, you shouldn't. You're not going to play brass. You're going to play saxophone. You have a perfect embouchure or mouth shape for saxophone. You already have a good tone. Literally, when you pick up the mouthpiece, you have a better tone than anybody else that starts out. So you're going to be ahead of the game. You need to be saxophone." So fifth grade saxophone, high school started piano lessons, went to college and continued on playing saxophone. In college, in the jazz program, we had to put together bands of ourselves. Well, put bands together and find gigs. That was one of the things we had to do for grade. So that was my first experience putting a band together. And after I put the first little one together, it was like a three-piece. And it was an upright bass. It was me playing sax and piano player, I think is what it was. We did a few gigs, and then I was like, I really like this. It was jazz, though. Yeah, it was jazz. The combos that I put together initially were all jazz because it was for the jazz program. But then I remember starting to go to the library back when you could check out CDs, those things that nobody knows what they are anymore, but back when you could check out CDs. And I picked up a few blues CDs because I remember when I was a kid, my dad took me to see B.B. King. And so I wanted to explore that a little bit more. So I started listening to blues. And from there, I was like, I want to start putting together a blues project. So that was kind of the beginning of me professionally starting to put bands together.
That's awesome. Like we have very similar paths as far as like how we all got started. I too was in that middle school and high school band. I didn't stay all 4 years of high school, but C-Dub, your story especially kind of reminds me specifically like of mine because I remember like I was in band in high school and actually I think it was late middle school, but like I remember at the time I started off playing trumpet. So my instructor came in one day and they decided to make me start playing baritone. And then kind of same exact reasons because I was being a trumpet player, they were like, your lips, sometimes you can't hit the high notes that we want you to hit, but we think you can play the trombone. And then they end up after that putting me on the French horn. So uh, yeah, I kind of went to three different instruments right there, but
I love that instrument.
I love the French horn as well. Yeah.
Beautiful, oh, man.
And I got a chance though, like in that time, it was kind of when I knew I wanted to do something in music, but I didn't quite exactly know yet what I wanted to do. And that shortly after that was when kind of like making beats on a computer and that whole era started. So that's what kind of led me to into music production as well. But yeah, both very similar stories. Now, I read your bio as well, and what I also find interesting is the journey from Wisconsin to Hollywood. A couple of years ago, I think 2020 was your first year, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Yeah, and like you took off really after that. And I know somebody like I know actually several artists living here in Dallas, being here 20 something years, and I know some people that tried to go to LA, didn't work out and ended up coming back. And your story is inspiring from the standpoint that you went out there and you took off. Like my question to you is like, what made you want to leave Wisconsin to head to Hollywood to start your music career?
I mean, Charles and I were evolving as um, as a group as well as individuals. Because I don't know if we told you this story. In fact, I know we didn't, but we met because he had a band and I auditioned. He had me come in and audition, and then I ended up getting hired on the spot as the vocalist, and so we toured for some years where we were doing like 120 plus shows a year, and over those years, the band was just evolving and evolving to the point where we decided to three-piece it because we used to be like a seven-piece and an eight-piece and a five-piece. So then we three-pieced it. I started playing bass, guitar, and so there was a lot of evolving going on, and we had decided to, well, he had decided because it was really his band to dissolve the band, and we rebranded. It became an artist duo, and that was also a part of the evolution, right? And we had already had our heart set on leaving to another city that could support our goals as artists and musicians. I mean, we were even thinking about New York City at some point. Remember that? And we have over the course of several years, I want to say, we decided, and this is after like talking to different people, after reading books, getting advice, we had decided on moving to Los Angeles. And Charles, at the time, has a daughter that he always said, like, well, I don't want to leave until she's done with high school. And I remember this was this right in the beginning of COVID? Or this was a little bit before COVID. I think it might have been 2019. And it was at the end of the year, though. And I was like, Alona is high school right now. Like, we said we were going to LA. We've been wanting to go to LA. But the crazy part was when we decided to start getting the house ready to sell, and there was a lot to do within, I think, 7 months. I think we had. It was crazy how it just started moving really fast. Like, we were like, oh crap, we said we were gonna move. We need to start making plans. And crazy thing is, it was COVID. COVID happened March of 2020, February, March 2020. And then we were like, is this something we really want to do? Like, is this a good time? you know? Like, we were like, let's do this now. Oh, wait a minute. Or we're getting ready. It's COVID now. Is this something, do we still keep making plans? And I mean, after sleeping on it and thinking about it, it just made sense to keep going. It was like, the world is going to keep doing what it's going to do. Like, you got to, listen, if you got a plan, if you start moving forward, taking 1 step forward, 2 step forward, 3 step forward, and COVID ain't making you take a step back, like, just keep going forward. Like, what are we doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? There was no, I mean, on paper, for most people, it just didn't seem like a good idea. But it turned out to be a great idea. It really did turn out to be a great idea. So that's kind of how we evolved. That's kind of, in a broader nutshell, how we evolved. Is there something you wanted to add? I know you do.
So the first thing is just something more. I'm going to piggyback off of something you said, because I think it's really a truth. When you decide, when you make a decision, you find the strength to help make it happen. Now, God, the universe, whatever you like to call it, plays its role. But you do things that you never thought you could do before. You move faster than you thought you could move before. Opportunities come to you, but you have to make the decision first, and you have to stick with the decision. But yeah, like you were saying, Porsche, like, we decided in 7 months we were moving. And like you said, to most people be like, how? If you're not at all ready? We had to figure it out. But we were determined, and God moved, and we moved, and we figured it out. Yeah. But you have to make...
We started making trips to LA, looking for a place. We started connecting. That would happen by happenstance, kind of, because we met him online. Like, we started doing writing sessions with people in LA, and then we started making trips there. And this is maybe like 6-7 months before we moved there, right? I'm trying to think when that happened. Maybe even a year before. But yeah, you just started taking action. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have no roots there. I don't know nobody there, but we about to.
Yeah, and again, I guess we're very much in sync today. You kind of tied into what I was going to talk about, which was there was a few connections that we built kind of along the way, because Porsche and I have been working together a long time, 10 years, 12 years, something like that, a very long time. But in the couple years before we moved, we had connected with a couple of really big producers out in LA. We had actually driven out there to meet with a couple of them. And then, like Portia said, we started working with a songwriter that had written some pretty decent songs for artists. So we had flown out to LA a few times for that as well. And what we began to realize was if we were going to evolve, because our mission is to be the best pop artist in the world, and if we were going to evolve into that, there was going to have to be a point where we were surrounded by people that could support that. Like where we were in Milwaukee was a beautiful place. I learned so much, but it was time to move on to a place that could elevate us to a different level. And I definitely feel like the songwriters that we are now, in particular, would not have happened if we had not been in LA.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you got to take a chance, and it's just real amazing that, you think about when you made that move, there was probably not a lot of venues open to perform in because you mentioned earlier, y'all did a lot of shows prior to that. So, going to a new city, with the world kind of shut down here and there in between and still having to find opportunities on top of like networking and meeting other producers and anybody really within the industry, but kind of transitioning when you talked about the producers and kind of tying this back also to the previous question about your backgrounds in being music creators. Noticing that you mentioned you played the keys and the sax C dub, and then also the bass and the congas portion yourself. Now, the way I guess the question tying that into the producers or even the production for a lot of your songs, have y'all used those skills to create or produce some of your own tracks yourselves? Or like, how does it go in terms of like you working with other producers, um, finding somebody that has that sound that you're looking for? Like, do you sit down and say, "Here's what I wanted"? Does a producer maybe send you, a file, a zip file of beats that you go through and you just kind of find whatever fits your vibe? Like, tell us a little bit about, how you come about finding some of the production for your songs.
I mean, there was like one time I came up with the bass line for one of the songs that we were doing. I'm trying to remember. But I really haven't. I think because maybe more because of my skill level as a bass player and also the kind of music that we've been doing. I really haven't really been playing that much bass for the production side. Or even the congas, like percussive wise, we just haven't had that style of music because I've been playing
Sure, sure.
percussion way longer than the bass, and then flute really long time. So most of just like yourself, we if we do a production, if we are the producer, everything is electronic, right? So we're just using our ears and our skill sets that come from our taste, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And knowing how to use the program to make beats, right? But most of the time, we don't really make the beats. There's only been a few times that we've done that. And honestly, we don't do the final production. We've never done the final production.
Sure.
It's usually, if we have anything to do with the production, we hand it over to someone like you or someone that has a better, plugins and better skill set. Really, like they just replay the instruments for us. If not all of them, some of them, and then so it has more of a commercial sound, more radio friendly, and then it gets released. But most of the time, we will. I want to say 9, 8 times out of 10, we'll most of our songs have come from um, people that already produced the beat, right? And then we'll listen to it and be like, "Ooh, I hear something," or that's pretty much how it's gone, right? When you agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say.
I mean, have you come up? I mean, just like I have come up with lines, you also have with piano, but then I have too because you got the keys right there, and it's doing the drums for you, and it's doing the synths, it's doing all the sounds, right? No matter what instrument you pick on the program, and so we both have created that way, and you've created piano sounds as well. Um, but for the most part, it's usually already a beat that we
That
already
you're that
and
they
we're like, ooh, let's use that. It helps us write faster.
Yeah, yeah. I get that, like, cause I mean, I produce a lot of my own work as well, but I work with a couple of producers here and there, and they might send me a folder full of beats, and I'll go through it. Like if a producer sends me like 20 beats, I might find, maybe 5 to 10, maybe more that I like and that I'm vibing with. And, a lot of it also has to do with my mood at that moment in time and what I want to write as well.
Don't it?
Yeah,
Everything's so
yeah.
subjective in music. That's what I love about it, honestly. Because it could be one day where you be like, that sounds like trash, I don't get it. And then the next day you be like, wow, I'm feeling that. But yeah, it's all about your mood. It's very subjective.
Very
Yeah.
subjective.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. Like people will send us stuff all the time, and some stuff we do end up using. Some stuff to be honest with you, a lot of stuff we don't. But what I like about that is most people that are in the music business, we all understand that, right? Like nobody gets offended that you didn't like that last beat. That I just wasn't feeling it. Like that's all it is. Like you don't have to look no more deeper into it. Like if you was the producer, you just send it to somebody else. Like what I'm saying, it just wasn't. I wasn't feeling it at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love that people don't be tripping about that. They be like, in fact, no one even talks about it. It's just like they just send you another one.
And that's absolutely right. Like, cause I mean, it works both ways. Like from a creator standpoint, there's been times when I've sent beats to one artist, same thing. Maybe he isn't feeling it. Maybe they aren't feeling it. I send it to somebody else and they're feeling it. But then, kind of on the flip side of that, like making a lot of the beats for myself because I also put my beats online, for other artists to purchase and things like that. But it might be a beat that personally, like I make the beat, but I might not like it myself, or I might not feel like it's one of my own. But they listen to it and it's everything to them. So it's kind of funny how that works. Now, going through and listening to and watching some of your videos as well, I got a chance to check out. Let's see, I made a list. I got I do no cameo, spotlight, which that one, if I'm not mistaken, was shot in Michael Jackson's old mansion.
Yeah, the one in Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
That's an
it's not really called Beverly Hills. It's right above Beverly Hills. I always forget the name of it. Humbly Hills. It's called
okay.
Humbly Hills, but it's a mansion right off of if anybody's familiar with LA. It's right off of Sunset Boulevard, right above, a little north of Beverly Hills. It's in the hills, but or the beginning of the hills, what they would call a foothill, right? But yeah, for anybody listening, it was not Neverland. It was his last mansion that he lived in, not Neverland.
That's amazing in itself.
It is.
Well, first and foremost, like I love your sound. It's kind of like and I think I read this somewhere. Y'all said Beyonce and the Weeknd type of vibe, but like it has that pop aesthetic to it as well. but like, going through, I think it's the video for I Do, but I like the presentation of that video with the red and black throughout the video and just the story told in that video. Um, well, first and foremost, like putting together a lot of these videos, do you come up with the stories yourselves, like for how you want to present the video, or you work with your videographer? Like, how does your creative process work in terms of coming up with your videos?
Well, I want to start out by saying Charles be jumping way ahead and just be running with it without talking to nobody, and he be coming up with the story all on his own most of the time. I can't think of one video we did that you was like, "Ooh, I have an idea."
Me? Oh, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
always been you.
Oh, no. No, no, no. The Joint and Spotlight. I didn't, in fact, we hired Ebony to
Oh,
do
that's right. She did the
the
creative
first two
direction.
music videos that we shot.
Yeah, but you directed the creative director. I felt.
I gave her input. I sure did. I sure did. I sure did. The amount of money we spent on that, I sure did.
Wait, I'm trying to think. The joint. The
The
joint.
Joint was that college kid, Corey. Corey.
He came up with the storyline.
He came up with everything. Yeah, that
Okay.
was mine.
But as far as I do, and
All of the rest of them, no one knew yet.
yeah, Charles comes up with these really cool ideas.
That's
And
awesome.
because you used to be in some sort of creative writing.
Well, I used to, in another life, yeah, I used to direct theater. I used to do improv comedy. Yeah, I was working on my master's in creative writing. I never finished it. Um, so yeah, I do have a lot of background in both storytelling and kind of creating sets and all that other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like you're getting really good at it.
Well, thanks.
So some of the videos, people just they always compliment the story. They're always like, "Oh, I like the way how that surprise at the end. I didn't see that comment. That kind of thing."
I mean, we grew up in a time when music videos were king,
Yeah.
and like and even now, like people will still describe a song, one of our songs, based on the music video. You know the one where Portia's wearing the red trench coat. You know the one where Portia was in the yellow dress and you guys were at the pool. Because images are very, very powerful. We a lot of times hear with our eyes, so they can't. It's not disconnected. So when you think about food, a good presentation on a plate. Why do we spend time on it? Because it enhances the flavor of the food in our minds.
You eat with your eyes first. That's what they say.
And it's the same thing with music. So I'll say it in a positive way, I'm always happy to see when an artist or an artist's team really takes their music video seriously and doesn't just say, well, let's regurgitate what everybody else has already done a million times, but instead is truly invested in, based on our brand, how can we tell a story about this song? And it doesn't always have to be spot on. Some of our songs or some of our music videos aren't literally telling the story of the song, but they are related somehow to the song, and it's a creative way of thinking about it. And I feel like that helps to honor yourself as an artist, because you say my song is important enough where me and my team came up with something that is visually creative and different, and not just, okay, I'm going to throw some stacks on this girl's ass. Like, seen it a million times. It's already been done. Like, come up with something creative. If you want to throw a bunch of money around, do it in space. Do something different. Show me, and make sure that it's meaningful to you as a brand. I think that's the biggest thing, and not just regurgitate because you think that's what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, yeah. Like one of the things I liked is like Portia, when I think you were dancing on the I Do video, but like having a background of dancers as well. And that kind of, mentioning see that what you said, growing up in an era where like music videos meant something. And that kind of brought me back personally to that area, seeing like, I think back maybe like Janet Jackson used to sometimes have dancers behind her. So that's what that kind of brought me back
Rhythm
to.
Nation, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Now, also with that, like I noticed as well, a lot of your releases have been singles. Is that kind of by design? Like you come out with a single, you promote it for, however long, and you do a video to it, and then you drop the next one. Like, what is your strategy behind like releasing music?
Singles all day. We just live in a day and age of singles. I mean, it's just what it is, you know. I mean, I feel like the market, it's not like it was when I was coming up. The more time that goes by, the more saturated the music industry is. The more saturated a lot of um just entertainment. Period. Film and TV, um, music, visual arts. You know, and with the invention of the World Wide Web, and then throw in there social media, right? Everybody's got a voice. Everybody's got a channel. You know, you're not just relying on the 4 or 5 channels that used to be the thing locally when I was coming up. Like I'm telling y'all my age. Or when you got cable, you actually had way more stations. No, you got a million stations to pick from, right? So a million channels. And most of those channels are just regular old people like you and I. You know, they're not Michael Jackson. Because so to me, because it's so saturated, it's really difficult to get people's attention. It is the biggest challenge. It is the biggest challenge. Any content creator will tell you this. And so it requires like an immense amount of resources to reach anyone. There is so much great content out here, really great music, really talented people, and you start to see that. I mean, you even start to see cross culture. Like they sing in soul in Korea, right? Like you're like, wait, what? Like, because people are learning because they're getting exposed because of the internet, right? They're getting exposure to other cultures, which is really dope. But with that being said, because it is so saturated, and very challenging to get people's attention, we live in a day and age now where it's foolish if your goal is to get attention. It's foolish to put out an album, a full album, if you don't have a super ultra strong super fan base. Not just a fan base, but a super fans. You know, because they're the ones that's going to buy the album. So until we have, because nobody's going to listen to it. People want to hear the record, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What they want to hear the single. Plus, also, I didn't even mention this. We live in just the fast culture. Like, we got the microwave. We got fast food. We even have fast clothes now. People make clothes very fast. Like, everything around us is fast. They just want to hear the single. They want to hear single, which in a way kind of sucks because as an artist, I really want to put an album together and present it. But there's not going to be an ROI from that right now. You know, we'll save that for later, because it's only the super fans that are going to buy that album, and or even if you don't buy it, but take the time to listen to it from front to back. Those are the only people listening to albums is super fans. If you're a super fan of Drake, you're gonna listen to the album front to back. Or maybe you're not, but because he is at a level of popularity, you're probably gonna listen. But until you get to that point, only your super fans are listening. So yeah, our strategy right now is just putting out singles and building our reputation at the same time with a lot of very clever marketing on a shoestring type strategies. Because
Yeah.
marketing dollars, we be seeing them like, woo, fly out the window. They be doing their thing, but still, it's a lot. It takes a lot of money. You got anything to add?
Yeah, I think when you look at major label artists, I think of Doja Cat is a great example. When she released, really, her last album, I feel like maybe she didn't do this as much, but the album before it, I think it was Hot Pink. She or her label released 4 singles before they dropped the album. Why would they do that? Well, it's a really similar strategy. Now, when you listen to the album, you already know 4 of the songs, so you're much more likely to get through it and listen to the other songs because you already know. Well, if nothing else on this album is good, at least I know these 4 are good. And honestly, when you think about back in the day when artists would release albums, there were still singles on the radio. You didn't play an entire album on the radio. You played a single. And that what you right now, Prince is working Purple Rain. So Purple Rain is everywhere. But it wasn't the whole album, you know. Then when it was time for the next single, then the radio was working that single. So when it comes to working your music, it's very difficult to work an album because it's a little too abstract of an idea. It's what would be the best way to say it? It's kind of like trying to sell an entire house to someone that wants to rent an apartment. For most people, they can't conceptualize like buying an entire house or a mansion. That's what an album is. It's like a bunch of rooms, and you got to figure out, okay, do I have the time to figure this out right now? Do I have time to listen to this whole album? And for me, I always use myself as an example. I like Nicki Minaj. I have tried to finish her last album 3 times, and it wasn't because I didn't like it. It literally was because I kept getting interrupted. One time I would get a phone call, and then I would forget I was listening to the album. Another time I realized I had to do something, I think record something. So every time I was interrupted. So I think I've heard the same 4 songs on the album 5 times, and I never got through it. Is it because I don't like Nicki? No, it's because life happens. So I feel like as of right now, for most people, they can commit to 3 minutes. Committing to 30 minutes to an hour?
Yeah.
That's pretty serious. That's pretty serious. And I know it's sad to say.
That just makes me really want to listen.
Yeah. You almost have to set aside time in today's, you know what I mean? Today, just sit down. I'm shutting off my phone. Kids, leave me alone. Don't come out your room. Go play your game. I'm about to sit down and listen to this album.
Because of the distraction of the internet. Because
Yeah.
I remember when I was little, if I got that cassette tape, I don't even know who. Like, it didn't even matter. Like Madonna. I'm listening to that whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Because what else was there to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm listening to it from front to back. I'm listening to the Slick Rick from front to freaking back. Like, I'm listening to I'm trying to think of all the people, like I listened to Thriller Bobby Brown. Yes, like all we weren't as distracted. So these days it is very difficult to get someone's attention for that long because they have this rectangular device in their hand and they stare at it. And it's so much entertainment on there. Like, it almost desensitizes you, right? So now you're just numb of stimuli coming at you all the time. So how difficult is it to get someone to listen to anything over 3 minutes? Because they're like, oh, next shiny object, right?
Yeah.
It's so challenging. It's a different time. It's a different time.
Yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, because I went to a model where I release singles, but I don't even release albums. I more so do EPs, 5 tracks, maybe 7 tracks. I remember one time this producer hit me up wanting to do a like 12-track album, and I did it, but I wasn't comfortable doing so because the exact thing you said earlier about people's attention spans is shorter and shorter. And, for myself, like, I only listen to music mostly when I go to the gym, I'm working out, and that's the time I dial in usually. But other times when I'm driving around, like sometimes my morning commute to the job, I'm listening to a podcast. We also got that.
So much entertainment.
so much entertainment. And back in the day, you used to go to, I don't know, Music Land, Sam Goody, wherever, but like you would get that cassette or that CD out of the packaging, and you had that Discman or that Walkman that just did one thing. But now,
Exactly.
yeah.
It did one thing and it did it well and you wore it out.
And
And
now
you was
this,
grateful
and
for it, you know.
even like watching movies, like you might put on a movie at home, and next thing you know, the movie's going on. You're surfing
Oh my God,
through.
right. You're back on that stupid old phone. Exactly, because a notification went off.
Yeah, yeah. So
But it's
yeah,
hard to get people's attention these days.
it is.
For a long period of time. Like it's you know, there's few artists that can do it, but that's because they're mega stars. Like Beyonce dropped album before without putting out any singles. Couple of times.
Yeah, yeah.
So that goes to show you how difficult, like you have to almost be at that level to not even put out not a one single
No
and
market.
still sell millions. Like, how does she do it? Well, she's a force at this point to be reckoned with. But once you get to that point, then yeah, you can do that kind of thing. But right now, you cannot. You got to put out a single. You got to put out a single or two or three or four, and in our case, continue to put them out until you build that following that will, listen to the album from front to back. But yeah, we was grateful for that Walkman and that Discman. First it was the Walkman, then we had
First
the
of all, the
Discman.
disc.
It brought you all the entertainment, boy.
It brought you everything you needed.
I was listening to all the albums.
I miss those days when you actually had a new release day, one day a week.
Oh, that you had a what?
Yeah, one new release day where like everybody would put out music
Oh
on that
yeah,
same day. Yeah,
yeah.
and anticipation behind going and getting the album. You'd wait for that one day just to go get your favorite artist out.
Yeah, and then just the whole experience of even going to the music store and walking through and seeing all the albums and seeing whatever they were promoting and getting a chance to listen, right? Because at one point they had the little kiosk bay things
Yeah,
where you could sample the music, right. But yeah, there was something about like physically going through that process and touching everything, and whereas now it almost feels soulless. Like they just literally, we don't even have that experience anymore. We just digitally see things and then digitally are able to listen and then digitally find some liner notes that really don't exist.
and that's the other thing too. It's like yeah, digitally existing. Like sometimes somebody might drop an album a week or two ago or whatever it is, and I might forget, and then all of a sudden I see them posting. I'm like, oh, I gotta go ahead and add this to my collection. So yeah,
Right, but it's no longer. I don't feel that same. I feel you when you said it earlier. You don't feel that same level of anticipation. Yes. Because it's. I don't know exactly why you don't feel it. It kind of reminds me of also, like, remember when like your parents called them the programs, right, on TV. This is the program. You get the TV guide, and all the programs is on the TV guide, and you couldn't just show up whenever you wanted to
yeah.
watch whatever you wanted.
Missed it. You
No,
missed it.
you listen. If when Jr. got killed, no, let me stop. Who murdered? What was the name of that show? I don't remember.
Hey, I'm in
Dallas.
Dallas. There.
Listen, if 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 uh if a different world was coming on, if the Cosby Show was coming on at 7 p.m. on Thursday, well, you better be there at 7 p.m. on Thursday because there was no DVR. You couldn't re-watch it because that was the first technology. before what we have now. There was no just streaming, which is what we have now, online streaming, where you can watch anything you want at any time. So the anticipation was always fun, right? Like you anticipated something. You knew there was going to be a movie coming on Cinemax or HBO, and you had to turn it on at that time. Or if you came late, well, guess what? You just missed the first 10 minutes. You just going to have to ask somebody what happened. And if there was a rerun, well, guess what? You better schedule that one because you knew about when the rerun. That was what a rerun for any young listeners was. That was when a show that was programmed to come on at 7 on Thursdays, they decided to do reruns of those episodes. So you would have to try to catch that rerun. Otherwise, you was just ass out. But it's the anticipation that made life exciting, I felt.
Yeah, you better get to the music store before they run out of CDs or tapes. You know.
Exactly that part. They're gonna run out. The release came today.
So what's on the agenda, for the rest of 2025? I know we got 6 months, 5 months left, going into 2026.
You wanna answer that? You can. No, you go ahead. I was talking.
So we just dropped a new single this past Thursday. Yeah, this past Thursday. And so we will shoot the music video for it this coming week, and should have it edited and out by the first week of August. So we'll spend the next at least month and a half promoting Whips. The song is Whips and Champagne.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And then we are going to do a one fall release probably in October.
We're supposed to be doing a music video for that too.
I did say that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I said we're going to shoot it next week.
Must have been on that. I heard an ambulance, but go ahead.
So yeah, release one in October. That's an interesting. Well, I'm pretty sure this is going to be the one we release. I have been sitting on a song for over a year. I had a producer send me a track, and it was a New Jack Swing track, but I didn't care for the track. But I loved the idea of doing a New Jack Swing track. So this is one of those exceptions we were talking about before when you were like, well, do you produce your own tracks? I went ahead and I produced a New Jack Swing track. I wrote a song. I knew damn well the song was really good. I also knew damn well the track was not that good. So that's why we've sat on it for so long. We knew a couple of producers, but they were only really top level producers. Like we know one of Janet Jackson's producers, and I have a connection to James Falteroy, who did some of Bruno Mars stuff. But hiring them is like taking out a loan for a home. Like it's not something that you really want to do unless you know it's going to hit. So that's why we sat on it for so long. So we had a conversation with another producer that we work with because we started doing sync licensing stuff, and we had one song picked up right away, and then we have another song that the music supervisor he kind of put it in front of a few other music supervisors. I said we want to sign that too, but you need to edit these things in order for it to work for us. That's cool. Went back to the producer. This is I Do, actually, the song I Do. Went back to the producer for I Do, and we kind of got him through because we went through a couple of different tries, and he wasn't quite getting what they were asking for. So we just had a face-to-face. We got done with it, and then we were just kind of chopping it up. And he's like, hey, you want to hear some of my other stuff? And I was like, oh, sure. So we start listening to some of his other catalog, and lo and behold, he plays a New Jack Swing song.
I know, it was weird too. I said, whoa. Because he's a younger guy.
Yeah.
I was like, back up. First of all, what are you doing producing a New Jack Swing beat? He's like, I love all kinds of music. I like all these genres. So yeah, that was when we were like, wow, he's been sitting on this whole time. We've known him. So we were like, we got something for you.
So yeah, I'm pretty positive that that's what we will release next. It's yeah, I think it's another really strong song. So we'll probably drop that in October, and then like I mentioned before, we've been doing a
We'll have, just for the audience, because we didn't explain it, and you never know, but we're gonna have him uh, finish the production, right? So he takes that idea and he replays some of the instruments. Yeah.
so yeah, so that song is called Fresher.
Okay.
So we'll do that one. We'll probably drop that one in October. And then, like I mentioned before, we've been doing a lot of sync licensing. So we just finished our third Christmas song, which sounds crazy in July, but that's when they want them because that's when TV and film, they're wrapping up the Christmas movies. And that's when films wrap is when the music supervisors start looking for music because the film is done. And now they need to hurry up and figure out where can we find songs, what songs do we need now that the scenes are shot, what kind of content do they need to have, what do they need to sound like. Okay, now let's put out the request. So we just finished our third one. And so we're talking about Porsche would really like to do an EP because we have three. But regardless, we'll at least release a couple, if not all three of those.
Probably the only time you could justify an EP, I think, is Christmas time. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
me, it just felt right. I've never asked an expert, but Christmas comes around every single year. It never misses. And everybody want to listen to Christmas music, period. Your old stuff never goes old, ever, right? Like, it never, it never, like, is out of fashion. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna always be trendy because it's Christmas time for people that love to make Christmas music. Like, so I think it's justified to do an EP.
So that well, depending on how many we release all of them. We'll have a released 4 or 6 songs this year. We released No Better in January. We just released Whips and Champagne this past week. We'll probably do Fresher in October, and then 1 to 3 or 4 Christmas songs. So that'll actually be the most we've ever released in a year.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid plan and, showing the consistency behind, releasing music. That's another great thing about like releasing singles as well, because it's almost like you always got something kind of ready to go. And you don't have to worry about like a deadline for getting all the tracks on the album done. You just got to focus on getting one song done. Also cool that you have some publishing and like placements within television and film as well. Like I don't have anything in television film, but I have something in the gaming space on 2 video games. And one day I hope to get something in film and TV. But a lot of artists and producers, for that matter, don't realize that lane of television, film, gaming, or really anywhere you can get your music. They just really focus on releasing projects, and there's so much to be made out there from publishing.
Yeah, it really is. I'm glad you realized that. But yeah, it's every, I mean, look around you. Everything needs to be seen.
Yeah,
You know, commercials, video games, TV, film, even like we've had some stuff published in the mall. You know,
If you-
elevator music, like TV, like phone music. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I think what people overlook, there's a few things, or if we're talking about artists, that they overlook about that. Number one, it's an actual check. And it's a much bigger check than you'll ever get from Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the first thing to get your mind around is like you're getting paid for your craft, all right? And if you want to pursue it at a deeper level while still juggling your own career, you can start really thinking about, okay, because the more you get in, the more you start to learn what they generally are looking for, what styles are generally looking for, what topics they're generally looking for, which ones are more popular. But secondly, artists have blown up off of their placements. Lizzo is a great example. She had a few placements right in a row that elevated her career. So you have to remember that the people that hear it in a TV show or a movie, they might Shazam it. That's what people do. Literally, it's not hard. Oh, pause the movie real quick. I want to get on my phone. I like this song, especially if they've watched it 2 or 3 times and they really are now able to take in the music. But sometimes it's the first time. Same thing with malls. That sounds crazy, but we have gotten a lot of Shazams because it's the same thing. If you're shopping in the mall and all of a sudden something catches your ear, the first thing you do, you reach for your phone, you pull it out, put on your Shazam. Oh, okay, let me save this in my playlist now. So you're getting free marketing out of this as well, in a way that's way bigger than you could generally afford through a marketing agency, because you already have a film company or a TV company paying for all of the marketing for the show that people are watching, and you just get the benefit of when they sit down, they can hear your song too.
Yeah, yeah, free marketing. Like I've known a couple of like creators. You mentioned like video games, movies, music. Some creators that have gotten placements like at NBA games, like they're watching a game on TNT or ESPN and they hear their song in the background being played, and I think that's pretty cool as well. But it's a lot of it is also like the education behind it because some of them don't know what they don't know, and just it's really more than just creating music. It's all a business. That's why they really call it the music business. And a lot of artists need to and producers as well, just need to expand beyond just releasing projects because there's enough to go around for everybody, for sure.
And I don't. We've talked about sync a few times on different shows, but the one thing I haven't said that's really important: if you're going to do sync licensing, make sure you have all of your business in place before, that you've registered it with the pro, that you somehow copywritten the song, that you and your producer, if you work with a producer, that you have your split sheets in place. Because the last thing you want is the deal to fall through because you don't have your business right. You're looking at a $5,000 check, a $10,000 check, and all of a sudden you and the producer are like, hold on a minute, I was supposed to get 65%. Where do you get that idea? I was the one to blow. You want to have all that in place ahead of time. So if the producer or the artist is tripping, you're like, no, it's right here. We already talked about this. It's already clear who's getting what. Because people sometimes get funny when it comes to big checks, and you might think that's your best friend in the world, but your best friend stops being your best friend when that check comes. All of a sudden, people can get. We've already had it happen. So make sure, not just that you talked about it. Split sheets are very simple. They do not have to be complicated. You can download them right off of a bunch of different websites. If you just search split sheet, music split sheet, you can get a one-page split sheet. All it's going to do is ask you the name of the person, what their pro is, what the number is for their IPI, and then what percentage.
The pro, like, is the BMI?
BMI, ASCAP, whatever organization they belong to, and then what the percentage that each person is getting. And there's no wrong answer to splits, by the way. If the producer produced the track and came up with the hook and wrote a verse, but you did all the rapping, you probably shouldn't get 50%. It's not a 50-50 split then. The producer did most of the heavy lifting, or vice versa. If you came in and boom bapped the idea to the producer, and then you rapped over it, you probably should get a little bit more than 50 because really it was your idea that sparked the producer producing the track. So everything is negotiable as long as it's reasonable to both parties. There's no wrong answer to it, but you have to have an answer before you start this stuff. Don't ever wait until it's time for the money.
We were advised that you should do it during the writing session, either before and after, or just don't leave the session without having discussed. I mean, it's just a part of the business, right? It's just business talk. All right.
Yeah, a lot of
You
them.
in here and we was doing 50-50, but now I wrote the whole damn thing. So what are we talking? Like, maybe I should be getting 75, like, instead of the 50.
That'll save a lot of like court and litigation and potential problems that can come later down the line.
But in order to, right, but in order to not feel weird about talking about it, I think that's why it's best to talk about it before you start writing. And then, because now it's already been put out there, like, we got to talk about the splits. Because now we can both get excited, right? Because to me, it just makes it more exciting. Because you're like, I'm gonna believe in this project that we're doing. That's basically what you're saying. I'm gonna believe that we're gonna make money off of this. So now I feel like it brings up everyone's morale. Like, oh, let me bring my game, my best, bring my A game to this session, and just talking about it up front. It doesn't have to be weird.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. It's just business, you know.
Okay.
If you were in the boardroom and you sat down and somebody said, "Okay, I need you to show me the financials to see if this project makes sense," that's not a rude question. That's a practical question to see. Okay, if we're making a rocket to the moon, but it costs $50 billion, and we're not sure if the rocket will actually make it there, we need to have a discussion. If it costs $15, the discussion's over. It's $15 rocket. I don't care if it makes it to the moon or not. It's the same thing in this business. Is like Porsche said, you can sit down and say it's going to be 50-50 split, but let's keep the discussion open at the end of the session because things might change. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing wrong with that. Saying let's circle back around. The song's done now. You know what? I feel like you did more of the heavy lifting. Let's do it more like 60-40, or you know what, I feel like I did a lot. You know, can I get an extra 5% or whatever? It's just business, and it shouldn't be. Nobody should feel funny about it because at the end of the day, you're both winning. You're both saying we both contributed. If we get a check off this, we both are gonna get money off of it, and it's only fair. If somebody did more for this song, it's not for every song. It's for individual songs. So. Yeah, it shouldn't be funny. It shouldn't be awkward. And if somebody is awkward about it, that's a red flag. If the other person gets defensive or says, "Well, we ain't got to talk about that," well, you questioning my character? No, ain't nobody questioning nothing. This is just strictly business. Like, let's get this off our minds so we can sit down and write. And if they don't want to do that or they get funny about it, I would not work with them because if it's already a problem and the song ain't even written. What do you think it's going to be if a check comes? It's going to be problems, and that check is going to be spent in the court, and neither one of you are going to see any of it.
Yep. Learn the business side, creators. Learn the business side. It's going to help you in the long run.
It's not about the business that people. I'm not going to get into that necessarily, but there's so much about the music business that I'm still trying to figure out and understand.
Oh yeah.
Like. It does not work like you think it does. It don't work like you think it does. So find yourself a mentor or join up with an A&R that has a small boutique label. Like, they'll help develop you. You know, we've done that. So learn the music business. Period.
Gotta learn the business. What kind of shout outs do you have for, like, it could be supporters, it could be, people within your network. Do you have any shout outs for anybody?
Oh, you got it like you had
I mean, I always do. So the longer you're on your musical journey, the more shout outs you have. I'll just say a few that are on my heart, but I'll say there's probably 100 people easily. I'll say the first shout out is to Eric Hester. He's really one of the first people that really believed in us, and he had a recording studio in Madison. This is before we were saying Oshun.
Madison, Wisconsin. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yes, Madison, Wisconsin. That's where I grew up outside of there. And he saw us at a show once, and he had a small label. And one time he gave us studio time for dirt cheap, and another time he just gave it to us for free because we didn't have the money back then to even pay for studio time. And just gave it to us for free. And he was a mentor, and he kind of was the first person to teach us about pros and kind of teach us about the back end. and they taught us about songwriting. I remember sometimes we sat down and wrote songs, and he would try and teach us the ins and outs of songwriting and what not to get hung up on, and kind of some of the different ways you can make words more fun to sing and things like that. So Eric Kessler for sure. Oh, do you have one? Looks like somebody popped in your mind.
No, I was just admiring those memories.
Another, well, I'm going to shout out my sisters as well. They are people who have helped us out back in times when the money got a little funny. They helped us out. I mean,
Right, living out here in LA, the most expensive city
Ain't
in
no joke.
U.S. The highest taxes, the most expensive housing, the most expensive gas, everything. But yeah, they've gotten quite well.
yep. And then same thing, big shout out to one of my really good friends, Ben, who lives in New York. I went to high school with him. Same thing. This man, I mean,
Yeah.
that anytime we've been in a financial pinch, he has always been there. No questions, nothing. He's just like, I got you.
I just brought him up to a stranger when I was driving Uber. I don't know what made me bring him up, but it was inspiring because I said there was one time he told us, he was like, "You're not paying that." And I was like, and then the guy that I said that to, he said, "That's where I want to be with my finances." I said, "Me too." Where you just, here's several grand. I'm good. Like that means it's not going to make or break your life at all, right? It's not going to break your life if you like I can let somebody borrow $20 from you. It's not going to ruin my life, right? But I can't hand over $2,000, not right now. It's going to change things that month, right? It's going to change things. But I would love to be at that point where you can throw money at something, and it just be like this 0.0000001% of your net worth. So,
And,
shout out to Ben.
yeah, and I think part of it for him is he really does believe in us. He really believes in us, and he knows that in the past there's been some years that it was tough, and so he just wanted to be there for us. So big shout out to him. I'll give a big shout out to Michael Mayo. He's a producer of I Do and All Night. We had an opportunity to write for a major label artist a couple years ago, and I met him. I think I met him on Instagram. And this man is an amazing producer. And we met on Instagram, and I just hit him up. I'm like, bro, here's the deal. We have this opportunity. Can you help us with some music? And he was there, and he's continued to kind of be there to help us whenever, including this new Jack Swing song. So big shout out to him. Big shout out to Benny Steele. I don't know if he's watching right now. Benny Steele has been our mix and master guy for a couple years now. And this guy is so cool. We were just on the phone with him yesterday. We were having some issues for our licensing songs. We use a different mix master guy that the music supervisor kind of uses. So we were listening to the mix, and I always compare this to when singers who don't play instruments try and communicate with producers. It's the same way for people who don't mix and master try and communicate. It's like singers will be like, I need it to sound more like what is her name? Jill Scott will say, I need it to sound more blue. I need it to sound lighter. I need it to sound sweeter. And it's the same thing with us with mix and master. Like I can do a really crappy mix and master. I can do it well enough to like get an idea to the mix and master guy to be like, these are kind of the levels, kind of the delays and everything. But I've never really studied it. So like we were struggling to articulate like what are kind of the things that we like in our mix that we don't know how to explain to somebody who might mix in a different way. He got on a phone call with us yesterday and helped us to articulate what it was. He listened to the mix and got on a phone call with us to say, hey, these are other things that I think that you guys hear or want to hear that are not currently there. So explain these things to him and he'll be able to give you the kind of mix that
The
you
verbiage of high pass filter. No, he didn't say that, but you feel me? Like speaking the technical jargon and that we weren't able to convey it that way. But yeah, that was really cool of him because our relationship with him is, we pay him to do really great services for us, but we're shouting him out not only because he does a really good job, but we didn't pay him for that. He just was like, here, I'll help you. Yeah, let me just listen to this for a second.
And Benny used to be mix and master for I think one of the Universal Studios in LA. So he's like a very accomplished mix master guy, and he still did that for us. So he's big shout out to him.
Alpha.
Oh yeah, thank you. He was one of the ones that I was thinking of when it came to the both marketing and music business. So Alpha is a guy we've worked with for a few years that is a marketing. He runs a marketing agency, and out of Atlanta. Yeah, he splits his time now between Atlanta and Mexico, but he's based out of Atlanta. But he has always brought us so much value, because we would pay him for his marketing services, but he would just have these long phone calls with us. And it would be sometimes about music business, sometimes it was about branding, sometimes it was understanding more about marketing. The singles conversation that we had, he was one of the ones to break it down to us why he felt like for us right now, albums would not make sense.
It's the source of a wealth of information just because of his own experiences working with, I forget which label he used to work with.
LaFace.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thank you, Alpha. Just a giver of his time.
Yes.
All the time. And probably one of the few people we've worked with that we paid a service for, but got back 100-fold in value because he was willing to mentor as well as do the marketing work. So he was the one to mentor as well. And advise, really. There's a lot of advising. So there's Alpha. Shout out to even Aaron.
Oh, he was the next one. Yeah, once you said Alpha, yeah. Aaron Thrower.
Aaron Thrower.
We met him. We met him when we were approached by a distribution company. He was working with them at the time. We didn't end up staying with that distribution company for very long. And Aaron also left the distribution company. But we stayed connected with Aaron, and Aaron has always been there. Again, he's a mixed master guy. It's not what he does much anymore. He does a lot more music business and stuff. But he's always been there to give us advice. He tried to hook us up with a video game company. We wrote a song called Undisputed, which is the first song that was signed by the sync agency. It wasn't used for the video game. That's what we initially had pitched it to. But he was the one to try and set us up with that deal, because he was trying to be a music supervisor for the video game company. Long story that I won't talk about why he left, but yeah, he has always tried to help us if he's seen opportunities for us, and he always checks in with us.
He's just a big believer in St. Oshun, and so is Alpha.
Oh yes, that's why they've given so much of their time. Like you don't give your time to somebody who you feel like is flaky, who's not serious, who isn't going to realize their own potential. You give it to people who are serious, who are grinding, who keep showing up for themselves over and over again, for sure. I had thought of somebody else. I feel like whoever we forget are going to be the people we feel most guilty about.
You probably didn't think the answer to this question gonna be this long.
Nobody's ever asked us this question, and it's a great opportunity to give shout outs to people along the way. I had thought of somebody else, and now oh, Lord B. Lord B is another one. So Lord B is an A&R and owns a small boutique in New York. And we've worked with him, and we currently use him for distribution. He has distribution directly through Universal. And he has also been, I think the number one thing that I give him credit for, it's hard to find someone in the industry that knows, what's the best way to say it? It can cut you their relationship off from you and give you a very honest opinion about your music. And he knows what A level music is, what B level music is, etc. And he has always been the one to be very real with us and tell us, you know what, this is it, this isn't it. We went through last year in particular a season where we wrote a few songs. He was like, no, don't release that. No, don't release that either. No, don't release that either. And he was never mean about it. He was like, you could still use this for licensing or sync, you know. The topics could work. But he's like, when it comes to radio, that's not it. And I feel like that's really valuable, and it's hard because for a lot of people, they love you and they love your brand and they love your messaging. But unfortunately, you can't get away with a B or a C song if you don't already have a really big brand. Like sometimes you listen to big artists and you're like, that song really isn't that great. They've had some really great songs. That one's not it, but still really charting high. Well, they're at a different level. People are willing to handle their B songs. But when you're an artist still working on your career, you really need to be hitting home runs. That's the only way people really pay attention. So that's where he's coming from. It's just like, we need you to hit some home runs. That's the only way you're going to grab attention. And that's kind of like the coach that's like, you know what, your throws are off. You know, you need to start working on your form. You need to be stretching more, whatever the feedback is. But your coach isn't going to let you get away with it. Same thing with him. He's not going to let us get away with it. So I really appreciate that about him.
Yeah, shout out just because he has a system set up where I've learned most of my music business knowledge from him. I don't know how you feel, but he's got a series of videos that talks about the music business, because he is an A&R, right? So about just trying to develop the artist and understanding what's going on and how to get in the music business. So I've learned most of my knowledge from him, and the fact that he's just spent so much time with us and we haven't made him a dime back yet. That is the hope. That's what he hopes, right? Like, but the fact that that shows that somebody believes in you is all I'm saying. So shout out to Lord B.
Good people are hard to find in this game.
Yeah,
Definitely.
right. You got to find those people that, for instance, with Lord B, he's in the business of making deals, right? So he's going to try and help develop you so that he can be like, oh, now we have something. I have connections, so I can try and make a deal with this label or that big label, or, whatever the deal is. It could be a record. It could be a whole album. I don't know. It could be all kinds of things. So he's going to win too, right? But he also still has to believe in us by spending all the time with us. Same thing with, like, let's say Alpha. Alpha is going to win too, like our marketing guy. But he also still believes in us, right? So maybe he's made a little bit of money off of us, but he hasn't. What I'm saying is, he believes in us, so he has to spend that time. If he believes in us, I mean, he don't have to, but he's spending that time because he does believe in us. But he's also gonna win. It's like everybody wins, right? So I'm helping you so that you win, but we're all gonna win. Is what I was saying.
And I think there's something just popped in my head that I feel is important. I don't know if you have a lot of artists that watch this, but a lot of artists are like, well, I can't find anybody to help me. I can't find anybody to believe in me. I can't find anybody to support me. I can't find anybody that will step in and help. People are not going to step in until you keep showing up for yourself over and over and over again. If you release a song and then wait 2 years to release the next song, nobody's going to believe. Why would somebody believe in you if you release a song and just think it's going to, and then you kind of wander off and just wait for something to happen with it? Nobody's going to believe in you. If you, show up on social media for a couple months and then you just stop, the proof is always in the pudding. The people who are going to show up for you are only the people who already see you have shown up for yourself over and over. It's not a 1 month thing. It's not a 3 month thing. It's going to probably be 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 years of showing up where people can see this guy's consistent enough, even if he or she doesn't have the money, they're showing up. And they're honing their craft, of course, but they're showing up over and over and over. You have to do it. Otherwise, people aren't going to believe in you. They're just they'll take your money. If you have the money for it, yeah, you can buy anybody to do whatever you want. But to believe in you, it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. And to be teachable. When the first person shows up, you have to be teachable. You have to be humble enough to acknowledge you don't know it all. And you probably don't know much of anything. Because they're going to say, okay, we need to start working on this. And you need to be humble enough to say, okay, I never thought of it that way. And try it. Not everything that everybody's going to suggest works, but that's the way it works for anything. You're going to try a lot of things, and about 99% of them are going to fail. That's okay. It's part of the process. Just because it worked for Beyonce doesn't mean it worked for Bruno Mars. So you have to understand that that's part of the process too. Somebody's going to come to you. They're going to come up with some idea. Some will work, some won't. But if they came to you, that's a good sign. It means that you're showing up. It means that you're doing something. Because talent by itself doesn't do it. There's a million people on TikTok with talent. There's a little Korean girl right now singing Whitney Houston as well as Whitney Houston sang it. Like, it's ridiculous the amount of talent that there is out there. It's not about talent. It's about showing up for yourself more than other people are showing up for themselves, to grab that attention and then be teachable when the opportunity comes and ready for it.
Yeah, it's tough convincing people. Because a lot of people, like mentors, record labels, investors, they get burnt too. They get burnt. Lord B, how many stories has he told? Oh my God. Where somebody really did have something, but they was just raggedy outside of the talent. So, and you either are embarrassed as a leader in your community, business community, or you lost a lot of money. Business labels lose money all the time. All the time. That's why they be careful. So, yeah, showing up for yourself is so important. Like, just, you got to look like you run it ready to run just as fast as they running. Like, I'm already running as fast as you running. You want to help me? That's really what it boils down to. Yeah.
Yeah. That's real, because I've seen it go where really talented people don't make it. They might come out with a song now and 2, 3 years go by and they want to then drop something else. But I've seen it also the other way, where you have somebody that's not quite as talented but has a higher work ethic. And yeah, a lot of it also, even like if they may not have the support system in place, a lot of it may also be like trial and error. So they might do something that doesn't work, and then they might do something that does, and they try to figure out, okay, what did I do this time that was different? Why did this pop up versus the time that didn't? So, you're going to figure it out eventually one way or another, but you got to put in the work in order to make that happen.
Yeah, because when you put that level of work ethic, it just attracts something. It's very attractive, right? It attracts like all the other greats. Yeah, every single time. And then you just become a better person because of it. And a role model, and you're just more successful, period. Even if your talent isn't as great as that other guy. Yeah.
Where can our listeners and viewers find you at on socials as well as, your music?
All they gotta do is look at that little rectangular thing that you be staring at in your hand and type in STOSHUN, Saint Oshun.
St.
Type that
Ocean.
in, Saint Oshun. We're on all major platforms, all of them. We have a website as well. So even if you Google this, you would see our social media presence and our online presence. But we've got. Oh, and by the way, we do have these on sale at our merch store. Quite a few other things at the merch. Yeah, if you like the hat. But we're on, Facebook, Instagram. We're even on Threads. I don't know how many people are on Threads.
They sleeping on Threads.
Right, exactly. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We're on TikTok. We're on, can you think of another place, Charles? I don't even know. But look for our link tree, smart link, click that, and then you'll be able to see all of our music
Everything.
videos, even our merch stores on there. If you want to buy a t-shirt, sweatshirt, different kinds of really cool hats, music videos. Our music videos are fun. Please check those out. There was a lot of energy put into music videos. You should check them out. Those are fun. Those are fun.
Very dope videos.
But yeah, Saint Oshun, STOSHUN, Saint Oshun. Anything to add? Nope.
All right. This has been a great interview with St. Ocean. Shout out to you, Porsche, and you, C-Dub, and you got a fan here. Glad our paths have crossed each other, and glad to have had this conversation with you as well. And I will be looking out for any music, any videos that you got coming as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for having us on. And then before I forget, I wanted to try and connect him with DJ Show and Darnell Knight. Yeah, I could have said that outside of this, but just the plug in your ear. This is just
Talking about if you're interested in doing the
Yeah. Send them definitely my way. Let's connect.
Yeah.
And definitely don't want this to be the first and last time. And anytime y'all have anything, feel free to reach out and we'll make it happen like we did today.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having us on. I really enjoyed my time. Great interview.
No problem. You can follow me on Instagram at d._major music. Same thing on TikTok as well as Threads, and Twitter X is going to be slightly different, d.mme. And if you hung around this long to watch the entirety of this interview with St. Ocean, please consider subscribing. We like to post new interviews on Fridays here on the YouTube as well as all social media platforms, all podcast platforms as well. So it's been a great interview. D. Dot and St. Ocean, and we are out.
Ain't gotta say much, the winning speaks for itself. Winning speaks for itself. Winning speaks for itself. Everything I blaze gotta be top shelf. Gotta be top shelf. Gotta be top shelf. Ain't gotta say much, the winning speaks for itself. Winning speaks for itself. Winning speaks for itself. Everything I blaze gotta be top shelf. Gotta be top shelf. Gotta be top shelf.